All right, guys, lesson 21 is the final lesson in this module, and we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did in lesson 20, and that's we are going to do one and two-step, or primarily two-step word problems using all the strategies that we have used so far this module. I've set up 3 problems that are similar to the ones that you've seen in your homework and in your problem set, and let's take a look at how to approach those. To be honest with you, I've tried to record this video probably 6 times, and I have made too many mistakes in each of them and had to redo it. So hopefully this one goes smoothly. This first problem says Mr. Brunel buys 4 packs of 6 markers. He gives 1 marker to each student in the class. When he is done, he still has 5 markers left. How many students are in the class? And so we're going to draw a tape diagram for this one. I believe that's how it appears on your problem set today. And so we know already that I have 4 sections or 4 boxes, and we know that there are 6 in each. So we know the number of groups and the size of the group. So this is multiplication. 4 groups with 6 in each. So if I could count by 6, I get a 6, 12, 18, 24, giving me a total of 24. And up here I'll write 4 times 6 equals 24. 24 markers. So that's step 1. I've now done this part. That's the first step, is figuring out how many markers I have. And from that, I'm going to pass one out and then have some left over. And that's how we're going to figure out how many students are in the class. So let's take a different color here and say, we'll do another tape diagram here. This one will look more like the work you did in first or second grade, because it's going to involve addition and subtraction. So I have a total of 24, right? My total number of markers hasn't changed. I know that I had 5 left when I was all done passing them out. And what I need to figure out is this piece. How many did I actually give out? So this is the number right there. That's the number left. And this is the number I passed out. Okay. And so if you add those 2 up, the number that I gave out and the number that I have left, that's going to add up to the total, which is 24. So one way to write this would be to say 5 plus some number equals 24. We know that we can solve that using subtraction by turning this around into 24 minus 5 equals that number. It's a good chance to review subtraction with regrouping here. So you take 24 minus 5. I'll put that in a box here. So separate it. 24 minus 5. And we cannot take 5 from 4. So we're going to go over here and take from the 2 10s and split them up. We'll leave 1 10 here. And then we'll put the other 10 over here with the 4 and combine them into a 14. So you had 24 before, and now what you have is 10 plus 14, which still adds up to 24. We've just structured it differently. 14 minus 5 is 9, and then 1 minus 0 is 1. So we end up with 19. So we can fill both of those in as 19, and we can get rid of our question mark here. Now we know that there are 19 students in the class, and the next step would be in our read, draw, write process for you to write a sentence saying, Mr. Brunel has 19 students in his class, which this year happens not to be true, but it has been true in the past. All right, let's move on to one that's a little bit more complicated. This one says, Andrew earns $4 a week doing chores each week. He does them for 4 weeks, but on the 5th week, he forgets to make his bed and only gets $2 that week. How much does Andrew earn in 5 weeks? So a bunch of different ways we can approach this problem, but I'm going to go ahead and do another tape diagram. And I'm actually going to do two tape diagrams here. All right, so I'm going to say, I'll do the bottom one first. I'm going to say that this one is, this one is the 5th week. This is where he only earns, actually I made that too big. Let's actually redo that. Made that one too large. There, that's better. That's the week that he forgets to make his bed, so he gets $2 that week. And it's just 1 week, so both the top and the bottom are 2. It's just a unit of 2. On the top part here, we know that Andrew had 4 weeks where he did all his chores, and he got all his money for it. So he got $4 each week for 4 weeks. We have 4, 8, 12, 16. So we made $16 over those weeks, and he made 2 down here. As we saw in lesson 20, we can combine those two things, putting bracket around the ends as we're going to add them up. And we can do 16 plus 2 equals $18. So he would have made $18 that way. Now, there's another way you might see this sometimes. And personally, it's not my favorite, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. I think that it's a slightly confusing, but sorry, we'll talk about it anyway. And that's where they put all of this, rather than putting it in a 2-tape diagram, sometimes they ask you to put it in 1, or sometimes they'll present it to you in 1. And so that way they make like the $2 section down here, right? And then they take the rest of it and they divide it up into $4 sections. See how they're slightly, my drawing hopefully highlights that good enough for you. This $2 section is smaller than the other sections. So these are all worth 4, and that's worth 2. So 4, 8, 12, 16, and then you add your 2 more, 17 and 18. And you still have a total of 18. So you could do it either way. I just want you to know that both of those ways are out there, so that if you come across that one, it's not something you've never seen before. Here we go. On our third problem, it says Charlotte has 18 feet of ribbon. She cuts the ribbon into 6 sections. She then uses 4 of the pieces for a project. How many total feet of ribbon does she have left over? So let's take a look at this problem before we get started, because there's a lot in there. So she has 18 feet of ribbon to start with. That's important, right? Total 18. I'm going to put a couple notes over here. She cuts them into 6 sections. So groups / sections equals 6. Length, or the size of the group, we don't know that yet, right? We don't have that in there. So let's tackle that first. Let's figure out how long each section is, because we're going to need that as we move into the next phase of this problem. So again, we have, I'll do a number bond in this case. We haven't done one of those here today, but it is a strategy we've been working with. So we know we have 18 total feet, so that goes in the top there. We know we have 6 sections, so I'll draw 6 branches coming off. Put a circle on each of them, knowing that each of these is going to have the same number in them. And then we have a couple of different ways of solving. I think the easiest is probably to count by 6s until we get to 18, and however many times we count by 6, that's the number that goes in here, because that tells us what is being multiplied by 6 to equal 18. So in this case, we go 6, 12, 18. That's 3 times, which means 3 times 6 is 18. So since 3 times 6, we know that we can put a 3 in each of these little circles. Okay, so now we have that. We know that she has 3-foot sections, 3 feet. We can move on to the next phase of the problem, do it in a different color for you. It says that she then uses 4 of the pieces for a project. That is important. So she's going to use 4 of them. Now let's find out what they want us to know, though. How many total feet of ribbon does she have left over? So she uses 4 left over. We don't know. We know the number of pieces left over is 2. 2 pieces and some number of feet that we have to figure out. Okay. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go on my number bond actually, and I'm going to cross off the 4 that she used. So she used that one, that one, that one, and that one. And I think that gives me a really good picture of what's happened here, is that she's used all 4, and she has 2 more pieces, and they're each 3 feet long, So we know then that 2 groups of 3 is 6. So she would have 6 feet left over and get rid of that question mark there. So again, whenever you have a 2-step problem, the directions, any problem really, but 2-step especially, the directions are really important, and it's really critical that you read them carefully and do it step by step. Don't try to solve the problem all at once. Understand that you're going to have to go through a couple of different processes in order to get there. Like in this case, you had to figure out that multiplication fact, or that division fact actually, first, before you could go on and then solve how many feet she had left over. And again, that last piece is critical too, knowing that it's not asking how many pieces she left over. I could see a lot of people saying, well, if she used 4, she has 2 left. Well, that's true. She has 2 pieces left, but that's not what the question asks. The question asks how many feet of ribbon she has left, right there, feet of ribbon. So make sure that you understand exactly what the question is asking for before you answer it. And that involves slowing down, not rushing, and double checking your work before you're done. You guys have done an awesome job during this module. I'm really proud of how hard you've worked. We've covered a lot of material, and I'm excited to move on to module 2 with you soon. Great job.